It was supposed to be just another quiet evening for Daniel Hayes, a single dad who had long forgotten what peace felt like. Life had tested him enough times to make him numb to chaos. After losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago, every day had become a battle between raising his little girl, Sophie, on his own, and fighting the crushing weight of unpaid bills, long work hours, and a heart that never truly healed. That night, he wasn't looking for trouble. He had only come to the restaurant because it was his daughter's favorite place, a rare treat after saving for months just to make her smile. But fate had other plans that if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of doing good even when no one's watching, then don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these real, heartwarming stories alive. The restaurant was warm and filled with laughter, the kind that reminded Daniel of better times. He sat quietly in a corner, his worn-out shirt neatly ironed, watching Sophie draw on a napkin while he counted coins to make sure he could afford dessert. He didn't notice the commotion at first, not until he heard a choking sound, sharp and panicked, cutting through the room's soft music. Everyone froze. A woman in a red dress, elegant and stunning, was gasping for air, her face turning pale as she clutched her throat. People stared, but no one moved. Fear paralyzed the crowd. Waiters stood helpless, some murmuring for help, others fumbling with their phones. Without thinking, Daniel leapt from his seat. Instinct took over. He rushed toward the woman, ignoring the murmurs, the stares, the doubt. He had learned first aid during his wife's illness. He knew what to do. Wrapping his arms around her from behind, he performed the Heimlich maneuver, firm and desperate, praying silently that it would work. After a tense moment, the woman coughed violently, and a small piece of food flew out. Her breathing returned in shuddering gasps. Applause erupted around them, but Daniel didn't bask in it. He just nodded, helped her sit, and made sure she was okay. The woman's eyes glistened with tears. "You saved my life," she whispered, her voice trembling. But Daniel just smiled softly and said, "Anyone would have done the same." Then he returned quietly to his table, embarrassed by the attention. Sophie looked at him with awe, clutching his hand. "Daddy, you're a hero," she said proudly. But Daniel only shook his head, his eyes distant. Heroes, he thought, were people who didn't have to struggle to pay rent the next morning. The woman, still shaken, wanted to thank him, but when she turned again, he was gone. The bill on his table was paid to the last cent, and only the child's napkin drawing remained, a stick-figure family holding hands under a bright sun. Over the next few days, Daniel's life returned to its quiet rhythm of exhaustion. He worked double shifts as a mechanic, slept little, and did his best to give Sophie the childhood she deserved. His hands were calloused, his back hurt constantly, but he found peace in the small things: Sophie's laughter, her hugs, and the way she whispered "good night, Daddy," every evening. Yet, behind those smiles, he carried a heavy heart. Every night, when Sophie slept, he stared at the stack of bills and wondered how long he could keep going. 3 days later, as the morning sun spilled across his small, cluttered apartment, there was a knock at the door. It was unusual. He never had visitors. Daniel wiped his hands on a rag and opened the door cautiously. Standing there was a man in a crisp black suit, tall and composed, with an air of quiet power. A sleek black car was parked on the street behind him. The man introduced himself simply. "Mr. Hayes? I'm here on behalf of Miss Clara Vance. She asked me to deliver this personally." Daniel froze. Clara Vance, the woman from the restaurant. He didn't know her name that night, but he remembered her face. The fear, the relief, the gratitude. The driver extended a white envelope. Daniel hesitated, confusion etched on his face. "Please," the man said gently. Miss Vance insisted. Then he turned and left, leaving Daniel standing there in stunned silence. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter and a check, an amount so large it made his hands shake. The letter was simple but heartfelt. "Dear Mr. Hayes, you may not remember me beyond that night, but I will never forget you. You didn't just save my life. You reminded me that goodness still exists in this world. I am Clara Vance, and I own Vance Industries. I have everything money can buy, yet I've never been as moved as I was by your selflessness. Please accept this as a small token of my gratitude, not as payment, but as recognition for the kind of man you are. Use it for your daughter, your dreams, your peace." You deserve it. With deepest thanks, Clara. Daniel sat on the couch, speechless. The check wasn't just money. It was hope. Enough to pay his debts, fix his broken car, maybe even send Sophie to a better school. But as tears filled his eyes, he thought about what this really meant. He had never done it for reward or recognition. He did it because it was the right thing to do, because someone needed help. Yet, for the first time in years, life was finally giving something back. That night, he held Sophie close and told her the story, not about the money, but about kindness. Always help people, even when no one's watching, he said softly. Sometimes, life has a way of returning it in ways you never expect. Sophie smiled and wrapped her arms around his neck, whispering, "Like how you saved that lady, Daddy?" Daniel nodded, a tear slipping down his cheek. "Exactly like that, sweetheart." The next morning, Daniel received another visit, this time from Clara herself. She arrived without the limousine, without the jewelry, just a woman in a simple dress who wanted to say thank you face to face. They spoke for hours about life, loss, and the invisible weight of loneliness. Daniel learned that Clara had lost her husband years ago too, and that the choking incident had changed her perspective on everything. She admitted that she had grown distant from people, living behind walls of wealth and fear, until a stranger risked himself to save her. As they talked, something quiet and genuine began to form between them. Not romance, but an understanding, a deep human connection. Clara promised to support Sophie's education and offered Daniel a stable position in her company's repair division, where his skills could finally be valued. It wasn't charity, it was opportunity. Daniel tried to refuse, but Clara smiled and said, "Sometimes, people like you remind the rest of us that humanity still matters. Let me return the favor." For the first time in years, Daniel felt something he had almost forgotten, gratitude without pain. In the days that followed, his life slowly transformed. He moved into a modest home, started his new job, and watched Sophie flourish in a better school. He still worked hard, still faced challenges, but now he carried hope in his heart. Clara remained a quiet friend, someone who never forgot the man who reminded her of compassion in a cold world. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps spread these real stories of humanity, kindness, and second chances. Before you go, I'd love to know, what would you have done if you were in Daniel's place that night? Comment below and let us know your thoughts. And as the camera fades on Daniel and Sophie walking hand in hand under the evening sky, remember this. Sometimes, one act of courage in a single moment can change the course of two lives forever. Not because of the reward, but because kindness, in its purest form, always finds its way back home.